you're talking about film, why do you think your experiences with Hollywood have been so much better than, say, like Alan Moore's experiences?
Why do I think my experiences with Hollywood have been better than Alan Moore's experiences? So far, I think the biggest reason that my experiences have been better is because Alan's philosophy on film was initially, it's all right, but I really don't want to have anything to do with it. You know, you guys, I made my comic, you go, make your films, let me know when you've done it. I may watch the DVD, I may not, all right. That was Alan's attitude, which was, I don't want anything to do with it, but I'll take the check and good luck with it. And I don't know, and what that meant was, you know, when they decided that Inspector Abberline in From Hell, instead of being a dour, honest, slightly tragic Victorian cop, would be an opium-smoking Johnny Depp. Alan just sort of said, well, that's the sort of thing they do, because they're Hollywood. And when they went off and did their own version of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Alan again just sort of shrugged and let them get on with it, and wished they hadn't. So far my experiences have been fairly good, partly because I'm really not embarrassed about telling them exactly what I think. I'm very much hoping that they get it right. You know, with Stardust, lots and lots of people had wanted the rights to Stardust, and I'd said no to most of them. I said yes to Matthew Vaughn as a director because I liked Matthew, and I sort of trusted him. He wanted to do Stardust because he loved it, and I helped him find a writer. He didn't have a writer for it, and I decided that my friend Jane Goldman would probably be the best person for it, and phoned her up and said, have you ever read Stardust? And she said, no, it's the only thing of yours I've never read. I said, good, read it now. And phoned her up a couple of days later and said, did you read it? And she said, yeah, it's brilliant, why? And I said, now go and have a meeting with this man and tell him how you would make it into a film. And then every now and again I would get to be there, not always, and I wasn't there every day, but there were places where they could have gone horribly off the rails without knowing that they'd gone off the rails. In fact, normally, whenever film people are about to go horribly off the rails, they're terribly pleased with themselves. An example would be, for those of you who've read Stardust, the two sort of brothers who have, of the Lords of Stormhold, who have the most to do in the plot are Primus and Septimus. And Primus is the oldest, and he's fairly good-natured. He's quite nice as these sort of things go. And Septimus is extremely nasty and dangerous as these things go. And I'm in the costume department a few days before they start shooting. And they're showing me the costumes they've done for the Lords of Stormhold, which are the most gorgeous things I've ever seen, and which brilliantly have their Roman numeral numbers and their Arabic normal numbers sewn in and weaved in and embroidered into the fabric of everything they've got. And all of, Primus's clothes are covered with ones, and Septimus's are all covered with sevens, and it's really cool. And then they say, oh, and in case Primus, they say, well, we're doing 2 sets of clothes for Septimus, just in case he's Primus.
What?
I said, what? And they said, oh, actually, we were very proud of ourselves for coming up with this. You see, because we cast Mark Strong as Septimus, and he's the youngest brother, and we haven't yet cast Primus, in case the actor who plays Primus is significantly younger, we thought we'd just swap them round, and we made Septimus Primus and Primus Septimus, and we'd have 2 sets of clothes. And it's and I'm sitting there feeling like somebody has just explained that because the white costume fit, or because the grey costume fit Christopher Lee better, Gandalf is going to be the bad one and Saruman's going to be the good one. point I get to do my sort of author thing of, if you do this, I will hold my breath until I turn blue, and I will stamp my feet a lot, and then I will go and tell everybody on the internet, and they will give you grief. And everyone went, oh, I suppose it is a bad idea, now you point it out like that. But like I said, they're all very proud of themselves. It's that kind, you know, it's enough of those kind of things that turn a movie wrong. So that's, I think that's really why I've been so lucky. And I have been, but I think also luck is involved. God knows, I've seen stuff over which I have no control. The badness of some of the bad Sandman scripts would have to have been seen to be believed. There were several of them that I could not finish. There's one I got about 15 pages into and felt sick, so just flipped and then just stopped. That was the one in which, right at the beginning, the giant electromagnets that have been keeping Morpheus prisoner underneath New York are turned off, and he faces the police and says, "Ah, you foolish mortals, as if your puny weapons could hurt me." The mighty Lord of Dreams, the Sandman. And then I think he jumps off something thinking he can fly and falls down. But the plot of that had him up against his identical twin brother, the Corinthian, for the ownership of their other identical twin brother, Lucifer's helmet, which they all had to get, which whoever owned it at the moment of the millennium got to be something. And they were so proud of that script. You know, the people in Warner Brothers who generated that. And honestly, you know, if that had been made, and if it had been as bad as it looked, I probably would have refused to ever have anything to do with movies ever again, in terms so much ruder than Alan Moore's. You know, so I think luck has a lot to do with it.